Hi there, YouTube. Today's Kingdom Melody is virtually unknown and unheard. I don't recall ever singing it at the Kingdom Hall, now that I think about it. Now that I've heard it and attempted to sing it, I know exactly why. Even with the excessive random high notes, weird melodies, and difficult rhythm and clunky lyrics in Jehovah's Witness music in general, this one's kind of beyond the pale. The melody is actually kind of pretty if you imagined it sung by someone who can actually sing with different lyrics. Maybe not. In 1966, this song was number 53. In 1984, it was song number 102, and thankfully in 2009, it was deleted from the songbook because nobody could sing it. It's called The Resurrection Joy, or as I like to call it, the Zombie Apocalypse. What, they couldn't even spare him a sleeping bag? Did he snore too loud? Or, oh, maybe he was just disfellowshipped and he wasn't allowed to sleep in the house? Okay, I guess he was actually dead then and not just, sleeping in the graveyard. Thanks for clarifying that, but I'm not sure what none there him could save actually means. Does it mean no one present could save him? From what? No one could save him where he was? They couldn't save him a seat at the convention? I don't... At least we know he wasn't disfellowshipped because his sisters were actually sad he was dead. But they probably did get counseled for displays of emotion that were unbecoming someone who believes in the resurrection hope or some shit. In 1984, they changed the word sick to good in this line. I guess they figure if you're sick, you must not be studying your watchtower enough. And everybody knows that all good people prepare for meetings at the Kingdom Hall. But here's another thing that really cracks me up. Jehovah's Witnesses are monotheist, right? They believe that Jehovah is the only true God, and they often say that Jehovah is the only real God. But they are singing about a Greek god. Hades was the god of the underworld, and the name eventually came to describe the home of the dead as well. So let me get this straight. Witnesses don't believe in an afterlife outside of the resurrection, so they don't actually believe that people go to heaven or to hell when they die. So what the hell is this?
God, Jesus, see what happens when you're late? Get your shit.
In 1984, this was changed to, "At the grave Christ Jesus then did give a shout, calling to the dead one, Lazarus, come out." Was he coming out of the closet or what? In the original version, it seems like even Jesus might have been showing emotion at a funeral, which frankly borders on apostasy. And again, the wording here is so oddly suggestive, like,
"Oh, not that dead one, the other dead one. The one who's sleeping. No, not the dead one working on his laptop. Jesus, will you listen for a change?"
How creepy would it be if you could just shout at dead people and they would just come bebopping on out of their graves? Like,
"Yeah, can I help you?" "No, man, I'm not interested. I'm trying to sleep here."
Of course, that would put an end to, like, murder investigations and forensic files. The apostrophes are back. Poor Lazarus. I mean, clearly he was not dressed to go out. They could have at least given him time to freshen up, but no, he had to obey immediately. At least they were happy to see him, though, even if he did have curlers in and no makeup.
"Girl, you look rough."
Try that at the Kingdom Hall, y'all. See how great the rejoicing is then. You know what? You'll find yourself in the back room is what'll happen, being counseled about what's appropriate to wear in the house of Jah. Are grave clothes considered immodest? Those who hoped in Jesus, Lord, release was thine. So they felt dejected when he had to die. Wait a minute, what's going on? Oh, it seems like we've completely changed stories. I guess Lazarus came to the door and that's the end of that one? Okay. So now we have some people hoping in Jesus for release. What are they doing inside Jesus? Did he eat them? What kind of release? Oh my God, no, please don't tell me. Forget I asked. Forget it.
Damn it, Jesus. Why did you have to go and die?
Oh, that is kind of the whole point of Christianity, isn't it? I guess you're right. There's no redemptive sacrifice without the sacrifice. Sacrament of Jesus, laid in our tomb. Now hearts and spirits, innermost in gloom. Oh yeah, that's how people usually feel when somebody they care about dies. I guess the witnesses do have to be told this, though, since they aren't allowed to show grief when somebody dies or gets disfellowship. In 1984, this line was changed to, "But the gates of Hades could not God defy. In 3 days God raised him, seated him on high." Now, first of all, we are again assuming that Hades actually exists and that it is an actual place with gates, no less. Hades is a gated community, and that people actually do go there after they die. All of which are directly against what the witnesses claim to believe and what they teach others. Need I remind you that this is a Jehovah's Witness song? And why would the gates of Hades try to defy God anyway? Since when are gates sentient? I'm so confused. And then, in neither version does it say that God actually resurrected anyone, so I mean, technically, his dead body was just kind of picked up and put in a chair at the head of the table. Sure, that made for interesting dinner conversation. It's like Weekend at Bernie's or In 1984, this line was changed to, "With joy his disciples him they saw and heard. Keys of death and Hades on him are conferred." I'm glad they fixed that annoying attempt at rhyme, because I mean, in no context does appeared rhyme with conferred, but I'm really not sure the grammatical crime that they've committed to make this new line work is any better. And another thing, if the gates of Hades are busted now, as the 1966 version just said, what difference does it make who has the keys? Why are there keys anyway? Why are these keys being given to Jesus? I have so many questions, but none of them are going to be answered because the third verse switches stories again. Great. So this is chronologically out of order. I mean, shouldn't Adam and Eve have been first verse and not last verse? Adam's sin in Eden brought death on our race. Was it like a 5K or a half marathon or what? A horse race? NASCAR? What was Adam's sin again?
Listening to a woman.
God eternal dead ones, shall Christ take place. Guys, I'm kind of concerned about this actually. I mean, do they really have to literally come through Christ? I mean, think about it. How could all these dead people come back through Christ? All I can think of is that he has to eat them and then we have to wait a few days.
Poor Jesus, he just can't catch a break, can he?
Have you ever encountered a dead person who can actually hear, much less get up and start walking around on any schedule? You know, I actually had to explain to a witness at my mom's funeral why we won't bring the kids to any more funerals after my grandmother's funeral last spring. After the talk at that funeral, my oldest was freaked out for a while because, as I explained to this witness, the resurrection and the zombie apocalypse sound really, really similar. Go again, being all judgy. Why are they only judging the well-lit deeds here? It seems to me that the witnesses are much more interested in what happens in the dark. So are ex-witnesses, for that matter. Hey, I didn't know God had a great white throne. Huh, he's a Shark Week fan. Who knew? Is God's Book of Life like one of those Who's Who things, where you actually have to pay to get in and then you buy a special leather-bound copy of what's essentially a phone book that never gets cracked open more than once so you can see your name in print? And then it sits on a shelf somewhere and gathers dust until you die and your kids have to throw it out? And can someone tell me how in the world the new earth, as the witnesses describe it, could ever be free from strife? I mean, one gigantic congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses having to grow their own food, make their own clothes, get around without their service cars, and bury billions of dead bodies without any heavy equipment. No running water, no flushing toilets, no electricity, at least after the first little bit, because let's face it, there aren't really any witness engineers or anything. No restaurants, no distilleries even. Just kingdom service all the time. And technically it's not actually a new earth, is it? It's the same planet, just kind of ruined and full of self-righteous zealots doing a happy dance over mass genocide. What's the weather like in Hades this time of year?
It's the weirdest song